Welcome to another episode of A Blissfully Balanced Life. Today's episode is sponsored by Art House Hotel, New York City, which boasts 291 guest rooms, 3 on-site restaurants, and a nightly live entertainment in Manhattan's Upper West Side. Book your next stay at www.arthousehotelnewyorkcity.com. I'm going to say that one again. www.arthousehotelnyc.com or call in for group rates and events. I am super excited because today we have something a little bit unique to the podcast, and it's going to be a really fun, amazing conversation with Felicia. So I'm going to have Felicia introduce herself to all of you.
Hi everyone, and thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Felicia Hinds, and I am the owner and creator of Sacred Soul, which is, I would like to call it a one-stop place where I do meditation circles, I do online courses, we do one-on-one healings that incorporate some Reiki together with other energy healings that I put together. So I have a couple of services that brings you that clarity you need in life, yes.
So how did you get to being this incredible spiritual worker and creating everything that you do?
It's an interesting journey because it's one that I never thought I'll be on. If you told me this years ago, I might have said, what are you talking about? And so actually it was just life and living life and going through the stages of, for me, it probably was happening over time and I didn't recognize it. But it's being the stages of being a mother, the stages of being a wife, the stage of being a career woman. So it was like, I call that wearing masks. Like every time we did that, we had to become someone that was probably not who we were, or we tried to show up in the moment as that person. And the more I did, the more I started to lose myself. So in that stage of losing me, I got to a point in life where I started making bad choices, or I'll say choices from that space. So it's when you're in that space, you know who you are. You're at that lower vibrational space in life, and you're stuck in your stories, what's going on in your family, what's going on in and my family life was very depleting. I was giving a lot, giving, and I was not getting anything back. At least that's what it felt like. So instead of dealing with my problems, I went outside of my problems. I said, how can I get rid of them? So I just went outside of my marriage. And I said, I'm going to started a whole new life while I had a life. So these things happen. So in that space, I didn't recognize myself, but I still kept going, knowing that this is not where I want to be. This is not who I am. But I'm like, okay, but I'm going to stay on this path, and I'm just going to keep pushing through it, and whatever is whatever. So my wake-up moment happened like exactly 1 year and 1 week. If you guys your audience might know numbers or feel very familiar with numbers. It was 11. So 1 year and 1 week later, the person that I allowed into my life tragically died. They died of a motorcycle accident, which was most interesting to me because when I met this person, the first day, there was a certain kind of connection I couldn't understand. It wasn't like a sexual energy. It was just like, I know you. Mm-hmm. A knowing, like I've met you before, like we know each other. And it was that instant connection. But it's when I saw him leave, he got on the motorcycle, and what came to me was, that's going to be the end of you. I'm like, who says that in their head? Like, who's seen somebody on a bike and said, that's going to be the end of you? Like, I'm like, I took it out of my head right away, but the fact that it even came, it bothered me.
Right.
And it seemed like in that night we had a lot of intuitive moments. Like I kept saying, you don't need to meet me again. You don't need my number because I'm going to see you again. And he was like, how are you so sure? I said, trust me, you'll see me again. Lo and behold, a week later, I did see him again. So it was just like, I was like, all right, I don't know what's going on here, but it happened. Anyway, in his death, not only did he die, but I died. Right. Because now I'm here mourning something by myself. Because no one even knows this person exists. So my husband had a little bit of it at one point and it nearly separated us, but it didn't. So in having that moment of mourning, in that moment of leaving my home just to cry. I can't cry at home. What are you crying about? What's going on? So I'm wearing this happy, everything's fine. But inside I'm dying. Can't do work. I go to work to cry. I go to the gym to cry. Everything to release.
Wow.
And I'm like, I start to question life. That's the moment you say, okay, what's going on? Who am I? And I literally surrendered. I surrendered everything. And I started to ask questions to whoever is listening. And I'm like, talk to me. What should I do? And even from him, you know how when people talk, people say, they're here with me. I feel their presence. I was getting that. I've never got that in my life. And no one ever that close to me ever passed. So I was like, okay, what are these signs? And I would get signs, and it's like he kept telling me to, like, I questioned, what is my main question was, where are people when they die?
Yeah.
That was like my main question. Where do people go when they die? And I started researching, like literally going through my phone, and I kept like, stumbling across a medium. And I'm like, okay, I don't do medium. I'm like, I don't do these things, so I'm not. But at that moment, I was open. I let go of all those beliefs I used to hold in my life, and I said, I'm going to let it go.
Right.
And I'm going to give this a try. That's the surrender part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fine. But before the medium, I was like, all right. I saw a grievance counselor through my job, and she even was more taken by my story. She was like, wasn't counseling me in any way, shape, or form. She was just like, wow. And she tried to give me a medium. And I'm like, okay, I'll check her out. She's like, oh no, she's booked for 7 months. I'm like, I can't wait 7 months.
Yeah.
So I met this other medium, paid $300 for 15 minutes. I'm like,
for 15 minutes?
I was like, what am I doing? But I don't care, I'm going to do it. Did it. It changed my life. Like, seeking that, and I knew I didn't need to seek at that time. It wasn't like, okay, it's time to go to church. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like it was time to go see a therapist.
Right.
I don't feel that. I said I need something else. Something else was calling me. And it was that. And she shared with me a lot of stuff. I asked her my purpose. I asked him what was his purpose. She was like, he's there to inspire you. Inspire me. She's like, Laz, like he tapped your shoulder to say, wake up. It's time to do what you're here for. Like a reminder. I'm like, okay. At that time, I didn't know what that meant. But I said, all right, okay, cool. And also for me, she's like, you're here. Your purpose is to work with women. You've been doing it already and you don't even know it. Just by your presence, just by who you are, you've been helping women come into their space and know who they are. Changing lives. I'm like, oh man, I can't see this. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it at all. I'm not there. I'm in corporate America working at Goldman Sachs. I'm like, when? Okay. And then from there, I took the next step. I said, I'm going to go check out this shaman. I didn't even know what a shaman is, but my sister used to talk about one, and I used to ignore her because I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not interested. But all of a sudden, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, tell me about this guy. Booked him right away. I worked with him for 3 months.
Awesome.
In my life, after that, I realized I can do Akashic readings. I went to work with a Akashic person who just popped up on my phone screen. I'm like, who's this woman? I said, I'm going to do this Akashic thing. I don't know what it is. I'm going to do it just so I can learn me, because it says, you know the records, you can learn yourself. I'm like, all right, I'm going to learn myself.
Yeah.
Not knowing it was a certification course. So I'm like, okay, so I have to now practice on people? I got to do this? I'm like, all right, fine. I did it. I didn't want to do it with my family because I'm like, I'm not ready. I don't know if they're ready. Whatever. Let me do it with my husband's friends. Did it. The results, I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, is this true? What I'm saying for you is real? And they're like, yeah, how do you know these things? How do you? I'm like, I don't know. And that was my moment of understanding, oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And when my shaman asked me to read for him, that was it. And he was blown to the point that he gave me clients. And he said, now make them your paying clients. No more practicing. You don't have to practice. This is natural. I'm like, are you shitting me?
That's so
and
amazing.
It was natural because those clients, I still work with these clients. Years later, they've been with me the whole time. So I'm just like, all right, I know my calling. What I do, I quit. Quit my job.
Yay.
Quit Goldman Sachs. I'm like, who does that? You're making 6 figures, you walk away. But that was the me I thought I was, who was attached to, well, I should be working, I should be doing, I should, you know the shoulding that we all do, we should ourselves to death. And I'm like, I let it all go. Right. I said, I'm going to just step into this. This is me, this is it. And I kept going from there. Long story short, that's it.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Was it scary letting it go?
Oh, yes. No, actually, I just knew. So that wasn't even really scary, but I said, I know it comes with responsibility. I said, okay, now Felicia, you're letting this go. You have family, you have stuff to do, so you're going to have to get going. Right. Start this new work, whatever it may be. So I started defining, I need a name, I need a business. And I just, from there, Sacred Soul was born. And I decided, how am I going to work with people? I'll do these sessions. So I was just doing sacred soul reconnection readings is what I would call them. So I was doing those Akashic readings for people, helping them to recognize the truth of who they are, which is really a confirmation of what they knew, but they let go of.
Right.
So I'm not telling anyone anything they didn't actually probably know about themselves. It was just to remember it.
Yes.
And we forget it. The unconsciousness kicks in. We're on autopilot. We're like robots.
Yes. So can you explain more exactly of what an Akashic reading is? Like what the record is? Like Akashic
For
records.
me, when I visualize an Akashic reading, I call it like the library in the sky. Because you can't really see it, but I feel it. I ask questions. I get energetic responses. And I actually use divination, so I use a pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I do my answers through the pendulum, and I get my questions, and I just keep going. Like I have my own little format. So it really looks at who you are, how you were created through Source. So I look into that, tap into it, and share it with you. It's like it's there for people to know. And actually, with the Akashic readings, we get to look at why you're stuck in the situations you are. I see choices. The choices you've been making that has you there. The choices that are against who you are at soul level. They're not in alignment. Like you're doing things that doesn't, like you were taught, but it's not you. So of course you're going to get stuck. You're doing things that choices, and the funny thing is sometimes it's choices you didn't just make in this lifetime. People who understand, your audience will understand. It's been done in lifetimes before. Like I can sit there and give you a whole past life story about what you've done. And when I tell the past life stories, it's so interesting because I will tell someone their past life story and they're like, oh, I'm doing that now. I'm like, yes. Because we repeat. Not just now. We've been doing it and it become our new normal. And it's like, that's not you.
Right.
So when they can get the moment to look at it, stop it, and make an active choice to change it, that's where you're stepping into your power.
Right.
You're a spiritual being. You have the power to make a choice and change your course of your life.
Right.
And doing this allows you to do that. So it's like, oh, it's like aha moments for a lot of people. Like,
Right.
I have a choice. Yeah, you've been choosing all this time. It's just probably not in alignment with you. Now you understand you. Make choices that are aligned to yourself and allow yourself to do it. Surrender, you know?
Definitely. So how have you seen life change for like your clients or yourself when they find out this information or like they, start making changes?
Making changes. For me personally, understanding that my gifts and who I was, and I started to apply it and live through it. Like, I'm good with working with people. I have that, so I go with that and helping. I'm at a state of always helping, but I have to learn how to make balance and not help to depletion and draw and not enable, but help. So that's where my strong energy lays. And I applied and I had to use it, and I knew I could use it in this field. It can be whatever you want it to be. No one is destined to be a lawyer or a doctor. Just take your skills and your gifts and put it wherever it can work, or use it wherever you are at right now. It's not, you don't have to change your whole life, but apply it. You're gifted at communication, apply it in where you're at. And I've seen people change completely because that consciousness that they bring into their life allows them to come from their higher self and not that lower vibration where they were stuck, and start to really tune in and receive. We all receive intuitive pings that tell us things. Do we listen? But when we go through this phase and when people work with me, they start to pay attention. They get that self-awareness, and it changes your life because now you're using every aspect. And going to the name of your podcast, you're balanced. You're blissfully balanced when you decide, I'm going to use my body, I'm going to use my mind, and now I'm going to really actively incorporate my soul. We don't use that percentage.
Right.
Hardly, because we're so busy on autopilot.
Right.
So when you do this, you start tapping into that, your life changes. You get more abundance in all areas, not just financial abundance. You're getting abundance in love. You're getting things shift, and the people around you shift. I mean, I feel like what I went through changed my whole marriage for better.
Yeah.
Should have. Some people would destroy it. We're gone. It's over. We actually grew, and it's like I saw me. He saw me. He saw me as I was coming out, the true me.
Right.
And it was like forgiving for him, forgiving for me, and the energy was just different.
Right.
It was so different that it changed. It's like a wave, energy, how energy moves. And I think it's a good energy will attract more good stuff, and that's what we started to do. And all my clients, the same thing. It's just their life completely changed. They either found their passions and they started doing it. I always remember one of my clients, she had her job, whatever it is she does. She owns a business in property insurance, I believe. But she had a passion she had creative ability. And I'm like, so what are you going to do with that? Why do you keep putting it to the side? She started to make all my jewelry. Like all the jewelry I'm wearing, she created. And from the spiritual aspect with all of the crystals. And she has a whole other business now doing that. And it's her passion, and that she's using that life force energy that flows through her and applying it to her life.
That's so awesome.
Instead of letting it leak out of her and doing things that doesn't serve her anymore.
Right. So how do you start to become aware of the symbols, right? And actually, I kind of want to like twist this into a different topic because I have my own theory on this.
Love it.
So I'll give you my theory because it's a little bit out there. But I like to think that like spirit is talking to us all day long. And it's just up to us recognizing if what we're getting is a symbol or not. Because right now advertising, it's at this point where if you see something, your phone now advertises to whatever was just spoken about in a sense. But I guess my question for you is, like, do you believe that spirit is constantly giving you the symbol, like the signs and the symbols all day long, and that the reality that you're creating outside is really a result of like your beliefs inside and like your spiritual world and how you're thinking? Does that make sense?
Yes, I do believe that everything that we see outside of ourselves, it began within ourselves. It's a reflection of what's going on within us. I do believe that there is your consciousness, and I also believe that there is the collective consciousness. So there's two things going on here. And so, yeah, sometimes what you're seeing is what's put out for the collective. Like someone else, all the other thoughts, they're all there to tap into. And you may pick up on something, like if we're in a room like we are. And what's going on in other people's consciousness will come in, and you wonder, is that my thought? No, it's someone else's, but that's always there. I hope this is answering your question.
Right. So think about it. So do you think, I guess my question is more so like, if I'm somebody new to this, okay, how do I start recognizing symbols that I'm on the right path, and what might the symbols look like?
Actual symbols, or just little intuitive stuff telling you go to that store, make a left turn here, okay, because a physical symbol
like
is
numbers, or
okay,
like either one, whether like we can talk about both, like the intuitive aspect and also like the physical, like how you just explained you were on your phone and you saw the training, you didn't realize it was a training, and you like just kind of kept going down that road, right? Like you were like given guidance. Right.
It's the self-awareness. It's like being in that moment and realizing, well, what's happening here? A lot of times we're so busy just going. The symbols are happening. There's an 11 that passed you. There was something for you, but when you don't take that time, and that's why sometimes I say it's so good to start your day off like going within before dealing with everything outside of you. Take that moment to meditate, be still, because this is you training yourself from program or deprogramming yourself from the old ways of just getting up, pick up the phone, getting up, going straight into that emotion, like determining your day with just one thought. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, this is going to be a horrible day. You don't change your whole day. But if you go in and say, okay, I made these plans, you stay with those plans, your day will kind of flow with that. And then you'll be able to recognize other things, because now you're more still. And you're coming from that place of stillness, so when things come, oh, I'm aware of that. I'm not all up in my head because I've already predetermined how this is going to go. And you get control, you're training your mind. You got to continue to train your mind, or untrain it from what you had trained it before, and say, okay, and it comes because you already planted the seed. It's in you, and you're bringing it back. It's coming out of you. The moment you see a lot of chaos going on, you have to actually say, okay, what am I thinking? What's happening inside of me right now?
Yes.
And you really look, your outside should be like that trigger sometimes to say, okay, wait, there's a lot of chaos happening. Let me go inside here and find out, what am I feeling? It's always a clear indicator, but know that it started inside of you. These things aren't just happening. For the most part, yes.
And I think that's such an important part of it, because I say this too. I created a journal recently, and one of the things I have in it, one of the questions is, how are your interactions with others going? Because that other person is your mirror. So like if you're getting an angry response or like something, it's like, hold up, am I angry right now? Like, do I got a little bit going on in me? And you're like, wait, okay, I might be grumpy, right? So like, it's a really good checkpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. It is. And even if someone is giving you anger and you don't give it back, you can diffuse it, or eventually they'll go somewhere else because they want to be angry. They want to be angry, but you're not giving me back what I'm giving. And I've been in those situations where I'm like, okay, I'm at peace, but the other person is so angry and they want to stay there. And you can see it, and I'm like, okay, when you're ready, I'm here. And then you just keep your calm, but don't feed it. It just grows and gets like wildfire. It gets worse.
Yes, and that's like having a clear distinction versus how are you feeling.
Right.
And your awareness and your stillness.
Yeah, because sometimes it's really not in you. Some things actually that's happening. And it's for you to see if you know how you're going to react to it. Are you going to do what you've always done?
Right.
It's like a little test. Or are you going to actually not allow it to affect you? So sometimes that is something coming to you to see if you can actually be aware of it.
Yes.
And how are you going to react?
So like, I love that, react or not. On a daily basis, how often do you think you check in?
All the time. I've become so conscious. It's like everything, I'm like, I sit down and go within and I'm like, okay, what am I feeling in that moment? Or I would observe and just say, okay, I could see I check in I think it's every moment. Like right now I'm sitting here, I'm checking in.
Right.
I check in. I'm like, all right, this is how this is flowing. We should always check in. This should always be this dialogue within yourself so you can recognize what's happening. You stay in control. When we don't, ego takes over. I believe strongly is ego comes in and says, well, if you're not in control, I can take the wheel and takes you everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere that is in alignment with what your beliefs were. It will take you everywhere that's not the true you. I think that you created to be you out of the ignorance of knowing who you truly are. You know, ego is just that. I feel like I always say, it's like that avatar that we kind of roll around in, but it's not really us. But we created that person. I think ego should be there to protect you, like from danger, and serve you to some degree. But it should not become who you are.
Agreed.
Right. So it's having that talk to diffuse it. I'll put ego aside. I said, listen, just tell me when the bus is coming, and I'll let me get out the way. But let me and my higher self really take control here. So yeah.
So good. I check in all the time too. So I know you and I were talking before, and we were discussing like how important it is to have different coaches.
Yes.
Right? Like a person who's a basketball player is a basketball, like they have a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more about the significance of having a spiritual coach.
For me, of course, at my darkest hour, that's what came in and changed my world. And I'm happy intuitively I figured out where I had to go with it. But some of us, we don't know. We know that there's something more. And a lot of my clients come to me and say that I know I need something more. I do. And those what coaches are for, like spiritual coaches. And however you want to attack it. Like some people like, I'm just ready for the meditation aspect. I want to start there. We'll take that. Some want to take courses and actually figure out self and self-mastery and learning what it is to evolve in this world and how that's supposed to look for a spiritual being. So we need it. Even I need a coach. Like we all need someone, especially in certain areas. You get a coach, you're working your body, when you go to the gym, you get a gym coach. Mine, sometimes you think I need the therapist at this point. And then you might say, I've done that already. The soul work kind of hits both at the end of the day. So sometimes know that guidance is there. There are people who do it. I'm not knocking people who just say, well, I just want to get my future right. I always like to say, listen, there's one thing about your future. It's based on you. You can't get your future read for you. It's the energy you're holding in that moment is what they're reading.
Right.
You can wake up tomorrow and make one change, one choice change. That changed that whole reading for you. You're in control. I will never promise someone I can read your future and tell you what's going on. You determine that. But I will give you the tools you need to help guide you to be able to make those decisions and remember who you are. And it's not me alone. There's always a team of spiritual beings that are here to help. And so it's just, I'm a vehicle that can do it for others to happen. But I think it's very important for people to have that guidance, especially for the person who's trying to ascend, who's trying to learn, who's trying to grow. It's there in all forms, you know. Like you said, go healing, Reiki.
Right.
That might be your start. Whatever it is, let it step into it. There's so many avenues to heal your soul.
Right.
So many.
And so how do you help people who are like kind of like, I guess like they don't really believe in it, but they like kind of believe in it. Like, how do you coach them or guide them through the beliefs?
What is interesting is, especially, and this is like the law of energy, or you want to say attraction, that once they come to me, they're ready. They're not even questioning. I don't ever approach somebody and say, you know, we should talk about this, because you didn't come to me. That means I'm not giving off something that you need.
Right.
So I'm not here to convince anyone. But when they come, it's because there's a natural attraction. Those are the souls that already signed up in life to connect with me. I always say everything is pre-done. Before we incarnated, we made our choices. I'm going to go through this path. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to choose that. And these are the people, the pool of people that can help me if they're doing what they should be doing. And I know all this. I always just call on the souls that are here to get my service.
Yes.
I'm not here to, and those are, they're already believing.
Right.
So it works. So, you know, it was my worst clients. I'm just gonna give, is when someone offered someone and paid for them. I had it happen to me twice, and I said after the second time, I don't want any clients that you're gifting.
Right.
Because they weren't ready. It was the worst experiences. They thought they might have denied everything, what are you talking about? And it was a whole resistance, and I could feel it. And I'm like, you know what? And that's something with energy too. If you're giving a service, you give back energy in return. So money is energy.
Right.
So it should come from them.
Right.
It went so, because in that moment it's like, what energy transfer are we having? Because that money came from her to me, you know.
Right.
So I'm like, that doesn't work. So to answer your question, I've never really had to experience that except when it was a gift, and I realized you don't do that. You got to remember the laws of energy, like the laws of the universal laws, so to speak. That doesn't work.
Right.
And so I had to learn that. I think that was just a lesson for me to learn, and I learned it, and I said, never again. Money is not that important that I'm going to take it as a gift from somebody. It's not. They have to be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, because it is so important. Like, it's challenging if resistance is up. You can't get there. So do you mostly do sessions in person? Do you also do them online? And I know you say you have courses.
Yes, I do in person. If I do in person, it's just the healing work. I do the Reiki mixed with the energy work, and we do our one-on-ones, and we go into deep meditation. That's that session, a healing session, and clearing sessions. I do that one-on-one. Online, I have my Sacred Soul reading, but I broke it into a 3-week course because I realized just doing the reading alone was just dumping a lot of information. They're like, so what do I do with all this? So I turned it into a course where you learn to apply it into your life, and you learn how the balance, the harmony comes in, and how to live harmoniously through the mind, body, and the soul. So we take all that that reading, and we apply it to life, and we do exercises, we do work week after week, and you can see the transformation of people just being conscious. You have to hear the amazing things they recognize about themselves and about other. It's amazing. So that I do the 3-week course, which is available online. I'm starting the Sacred Soul Iversity, the Iversity, and in there I'm adding all these courses, and a lot more people want to learn how to do Akashic Records. So I'm throwing in that and teaming up with other spiritualists who wants to add stuff to it. So that's my big long-term project that's growing beautifully. So we have that. We have 8-week courses, 3-week courses, and some are you have to take before this. Beyond that, what came to me at the top of the year, and I took my guidance and I'm running with it, was a movement that I'm starting. It's called the I Am movement.
I love it.
Yes, and meant being spelled MEANT, because we are meant to move.
Ooh.
And I don't mean physically, I mean our soul. We are meant to move from those lower vibrations into our higher vibrations. So I'm excited about this movement. The I Am movement is just like people who want to be in a community of like-minded people doing the same thing. So now they can hold each other accountable, and you don't have to do this journey alone.
Right.
This is it goes forever. Like month to month, you can be with a group of people. I'm leaving this open as a membership where who's ready to do this movement. And now guess what? There's a lot of people. You're not alone. You're not the only one trying to live as a whole person.
Right.
And put the whole thing together. And we're here we're not here to struggle. We are not here to be stuck in these lower places. We're the spiritual beings that we're powerful beings.
Right.
Step into it. A lot of us don't step into that power, and I'm like, if I can just drop that pebble my vision of enlightenment and just let the wave go. You ever see the ripple effect when you drop the pebble? That is the effect I'm expecting to get. Drop the pebble and just let the wave go. After it touches one person, they changes the next. I can't touch everybody.
Right.
So if you just touch one, they can touch 100. It's just that effect. So that's the vision of the moment. So to the point where we don't have to complain about the life we live in because we can create a better one.
Mm-hmm.
It started with us to begin with, and it takes us to change it.
Right.
But how do we change it? We don't know. So this is where you get the knowledge and the wisdom, and you take that and create this better life. And it trickles down to your kids, to your family. People are raised better, but let's let them let go of those beliefs. So our own insecurities, let's let it go so we can stop the cycle. You know?
Yes.
So that's the I Am movement, what I'm excited about. Starts next week. Well, I don't know when this week here, but next week at the end of January, I start that with the new moon. Does it make sense?
I think the new moon's in Aquarius this month.
Yes, on the 24th. So I'm going to start that then. New beginnings, new things. And Aquarius is all about new ideas and stuff like that, right? So I think that's the best time to start that. And it's just going to be there forever.
Oh my goodness.
Monthly membership, I put it like that, or yearly. And we're in that. And it's a great group of people.
Oh my goodness, it's so exciting. I can't wait to see how it transforms.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe one day I'll be in it too.
Yes.
If people were looking to find you, where could they connect with you further?
They can connect with me on my website, which is www.sacredsoul.com. And that's sacred with a K, SAKRED. If it's Instagram, it's sacred_soul. Same K again. Same with Twitter. And Facebook, I'm under my name. It's Felicia Hinds Patrick. So you can definitely find me.
Awesome. I will put all those links in the show description.
Okay.
But thank you so much for being on this episode today. I'm so excited to meet you and to have you here with us.
Thank you for this blissfully balanced experience.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Another episode of a Blissfully Balanced Life podcast. Today, this episode is sponsored by Art House Hotel, New York City, which boasts 291 guest rooms, 3 on-site restaurants, and nightly live entertainment in Manhattan's Upper West Side. Book your next stay at www.arthousehotelnyc.com or call in for group rates and events. So today, I am extremely excited because we have a very special guest. Her name is Janelle, and I'm just going to have her introduce herself to you.
Yes, hello, how is everyone? My name is Janelle. I am an international real estate agent, and my company is Destination Own.
Amazing. How did you end up getting into real estate?
I've always had a love for real estate. My mother was an agent when I was about, I'll just say 10. I could be making that age up. But I used to help her with her open houses. Like on Sundays, I would pop popcorn for her and put it in a bowl and turn on all the lights. And then I would sit there as the people come through.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it just stayed with me.
Did you get to see a whole lot of really fun houses?
I mean, she didn't do it that long.
Okay.
But I think I kind of extended it by making her take me to other open houses all throughout my childhood. So that was like our thing.
Awesome.
Right.
So what is exactly that you're doing with your business now? Are you also doing open houses?
Yes. Okay, so what I do, I work in Philadelphia, well, in Pennsylvania, the entire state of Pennsylvania, and I also work internationally. My focus is really on my international business, and what I do is I act as a buyer's agent for people who want to purchase anywhere in the world. So I'll go with them, or I'll send them and have them connect with my people that are on the ground, and we just make it happen.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So what countries are you in?
Actually, I can go anywhere.
Amazing.
I can go anywhere, but I have been to Ghana. I've been to the Philippines, a couple places in the Philippines. I've been to Kenya and Panama. Oh, and also Costa Rica.
I love Costa Rica.
Yeah, everybody
It's
loves Costa Rica.
beautiful.
Right, right.
So, working internationally,
Mhm.
how did you end up getting involved in that?
I actually had to create this business. So there's a there is a designation for people that want to work internationally. It's the Certified International Property Specialist designation in the National Association of Realtors. I took what I learned from them and I opened up a travel agency and put them together to create this business.
So cool.
Yes, thank you.
How did you come up with the idea?
I don't know. I had it. Like, I've always loved real estate, of course, keep saying that. And I love to travel. So I was on a cruise a couple years ago. I noticed so many for sale signs. I wanted to see all the houses. And I just decided that, I don't know, little pieces started to come together after that. I actually, first major piece was me wanting to do excursions for real estate. So when, because I don't swim with dolphins, I don't really do jet skis. So whenever I take a cruise, what I want to do is look at real estate. That's it. So I decided there must be at least 5 other people like me on each cruise line. And that's what I'm working on right now.
Oh my goodness, that's really exciting.
Yeah, it will be once we get it off the ground.
Yeah, my partner sings on cruise ships.
Oh, nice.
As a guest entertainer.
I love
so
that.
it's an industry.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it like with like the unknowns of, you're in Pennsylvania, but there's different time zones, there's other people, like, how is that?
I find it exciting, and it also gives me an excuse to travel more. So I'm planning a tour to Colombia. We're gonna hit 3 places in Colombia, but I have to go and do my homework, right? So I'm gonna go to Colombia.
Sounds like a really
Right.
awful time.
Right,
Like, that's
exactly.
business. Oh goodness. Go
So
to
I'm
Colombia.
gonna go to Colombia and set things up. So the unknowns won't be as unknown when I go the second time.
Right.
Right. So just go do my research and prepare.
I would love to be. Can I be on your research team?
Absolutely.
That's really incredible. So is any of this ever stressful or like overwhelming?
The planning, the actual trips gets overwhelming, especially when you're working with more than like 5 people and they're coming from different places. That can get overwhelming, but I have help with that now. And always at the closing table, it's always a heart pounder.
Right.
You just want to make sure everything goes right. So.
Is it ever thrilling, the closing table?
No, I don't think it's thrilling at
Okay.
the closing table. No, because I'm never getting the big check, so no.
Okay. Sometimes for people, like, that excitement is like in
Yeah.
sales, like, closing the deal, it's like they have such a
Yeah.
fun time of actually getting the deal then.
You know what? And that's not me. I don't know what it is. Like, if I could get someone, I actually have gotten people to do my closings for me. Because after I see the home and I guess make sure everything's going well, I'm good. That's just, the hunt is my part. The closing is like, okay, y'all take care of that,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your dream home? Are you living in it currently?
Ooh, I'm not living in my dream.
Okay, so what does it look like? Paint me a picture.
Oh my goodness. Goodness. I think I would want to live in a concrete palace on the beach. Believe it or not. With
Okay.
floor-to-ceiling windows.
Yes.
Polished concrete.
Okay.
Yes.
What does polished concrete look like? Because I think my imagination of concrete is not, it's not like a real idea of concrete.
Right. It's almost like it can look like marble.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's just gray. I just love gray. And I love concrete.
All right.
Yeah, it's I know you've seen it, but not like the streets outside, but yeah.
Right. Would there be a pool? Would be on the beach?
I would say absolutely. I don't really swim, but absolutely a pool. Like, why not? Especially if we're gonna be on the beach,
Right.
But right on the beach. Pool, deck, a roof deck, an additional roof deck, and
Love
at
it.
least 2 guest homes.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
you know,
that's
I
awesome.
always want to make sure that my mother's taken care of. So my father's passed on, but my mother would need her own home for when she visits. And then my husband's parents would need a place. So when they visit, you know, who wants to,
Yeah.
you know,
Get the egg.
cramp up in a mansion when you can have your own guest home?
I think that sounds great. 2
Right.
guest homes.
Exactly.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your daily life and business,
Mhm.
how do you structure your time?
Whew, so honestly, my time is kind of all over the place because I am kind of running 3 businesses. I have my local Pennsylvania business,
Okay.
I have my travel business, and then I have my destination owned business, which is all of those wrapped up in one.
Okay.
I try to spread my time between the 3 of them, but you know, it's hard to do that at times. And it also depends on if I have a trip coming up or if I have a client who's currently in a different country. So I kind of just, the night before, I'll make a list of the most important things and I
Okay.
just work my way down.
I love that.
Yeah,
Um,
take it as it comes.
yes, and that's one of the things I suggest for some of my clients. It's like, what are the non-negotiables?
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that are semi-important? And the things I kind of like to get done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. And what about self-care? Do you make time for self-care?
No. I don't make time for self-care. I try to sneak self-care in.
Okay.
That happens sometimes when I'm actually in a destination. Because I schedule time in, if I'm taking a group, I will schedule time for them to kind of relax. I learned my lesson. The first tour I did with a group was Panama, and I was killing them with the real estate. We were seeing place after place after place, and you know, people were dropping like flies. So I learned from that. So I schedule in time for them to kind of just relax, take a breath, go to the pool, and so when that happens, I'll sneak some time, you know. Yeah, but other than that, no.
So, are any of the people that you're bringing on the tours, are they from the United States and they're looking to purchase a home in another country?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and what is that like, purchasing in another country? I'm so unfamiliar with what that process might be like, but in case anyone who's listening is really interested in getting a home,
Right.
how does it happen?
So it's different in every country.
Okay.
So that's a question that I, wouldn't even try to answer. It's different in every country. And that's one of the reasons why I started my company. We have a place in Panama now. We didn't buy, we're just renting because we don't want to stay there.
Okay.
But definitely it's a good idea to have representation for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that we do. We don't only represent you, we set you up with lawyers. If you don't have one here in the States, we can help you find one, but we also find you representation wherever you're going. If you need help with your taxes, we set you up with whoever you need to be set up with for your purchase, your rent, or if you're building a business as well.
Does language ever become a barrier? Sorry, I feel like I'm just firing questions at you, but you
it's
keep
fine,
sparking
it's
so
fine.
many new questions.
So far, no.
Okay.
I've only been to countries that speak English as well. In Panama, and I believe Costa Rica, all of the paperwork is in Spanish.
Okay.
So that's kind of a thing, but you can work your way around that. You get, which is another reason you have lawyers.
Right.
So we make sure we can get everything translated for you, that you're understanding everything that you're signing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, and I started taking Spanish classes, so it won't be a barrier.
Yay!
Right.
How are they going?
Okay. How do you say okay in Spanish? No, I'm joking. Okay, yeah, they're going well. It's funny because when I just came back a couple weeks ago from Panama. I was there for about a month or so. And when you come back, you don't hear Spanish every day. It's starting to drift away already. So I'm trying to find a class to jump in here, but I just haven't had the time yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely important for us to make the time, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what else were you looking to talk about today on the podcast?
Just like the future of Destination Own.
Give it to us. What's coming on in the future?
So I did mention the whole cruise situation. I'm actually pitching to cruise lines now. I went to a cruise seminar in October.
Okay.
And I'm speaking with 4 different cruise lines so that you will be able to take a Destination Own real estate excursion.
Dope.
So yeah, that's going to be the big new thing. I think once I close this deal with at least one cruise line, I'll probably take a month off.
Yeah, you totally are going to earn
take a
it.
month off and just kind of take my own vacation.
With the cruises, is it like a specific region that you're looking?
No.
Okay.
Well, and that's one of the things that's beautiful about it. You can do this anywhere. I can do this anywhere.
Right.
You can do this anywhere, meaning you can cruise anywhere. They have, we will look on a website and usually just look at cruises that go to the Caribbean.
Okay.
Maybe to Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
But there are cruises all over the world.
Yes.
So if you wanted to cruise to Spain or China or Africa, you'll be covered.
That's amazing. My partner did a cruise in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So he sang on a princess ship that was in Italy. And then somebody else we know was on a cruise in Australia.
Right.
So they're everywhere. My mom had done
Everywhere.
one going like around the world. I remember there's one that goes around the world. There's like a 100-day cruise.
It's 106 days.
Yes.
I'm looking for that one when I retire.
But yeah, they're everywhere. So what do you think the schedule would be? It's like, or like when you do your tours, like how many houses do you like to see a day, and how do you keep the balance in the trip?
Yes, and that's difficult. Keeping the balance, because one of the things that we do is we want you to actually see this destination. So my last one was in Ghana, so I'll just use Ghana as an example. We want to make sure that you are getting the history of Ghana, the important places, if you can, meet dignitaries, things like that. So we schedule at least 2 events that day.
Okay.
And depending on the area that these events are in, we may be able to see a house or 2 on the way to or from somewhere. And then we always got to schedule in lunch because I got in trouble for that one.
Oh no, what happened?
Not feeding people. No, it's just that we have so much to do that you kind of forget to stop and eat.
Right.
Well, for me, that's not my main thing. Like, I eat once a day. So I have to remember, like, I have a group of people with me who, they may take medication and they just want to eat. So I've been known to not feed people. But
not anymore. That's not happening anymore.
It's not happening anymore. We have lunches scheduled in. They were always scheduled in, but we just kind of breeze by them. Because you get this momentum.
Right.
And you like, doing things. And if you're running late, you're like, okay, let's just hurry up and get to the next appointment or next event or something. So, but yeah, we just try to keep it flexible. We try to stay flexible now, so everybody eats.
Right. Do you guys do anything in particular to help? Like, so you want them to learn the history, but do you take them, like, in places in the country too? Do you know what I mean? Like excursions for the country in itself.
Excursions in the country.
Right. So, like, let's say if we were in Costa Rica and we went and looked at 2. Maybe we wanted to go look at some real estate, but then it was like, oh, we're going to go ATVing afterwards.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. Ghana really doesn't have, like, I don't want to say fun stuff to do. They have parties and festivals, but I think they have ATVing, but it was kind of in a different area. So we didn't do anything like that. For me, Ghana was like a cultural tour. I don't know if you heard of the Year of Return. It was 2019, so it was this mass group of people going to Ghana all throughout 2019. So they were going for the history, to see the slave dungeons and to reconnect, things like that. So yeah, definitely if we were in Costa Rica, we'd be ATVing.
Okay.
We'd be ATVing and eating lunch. Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are your top 5 countries to travel to?
Some of them I haven't been to yet, but I would say my number 1 right now is the Philippines.
Okay.
We were in Boracay in the Philippines. We spent a couple weeks there, and it was a real surprise because I didn't know what to think about the Philippines. You know, I kind of knew what to expect with Manila. You know, it's a big city, so you get city stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they have over 7,000 islands, and we hit 3 of them.
Over 7,000.
7,300, 433 or something crazy.
Where are all these islands?
They're like little islands, big islands, just 7,000 islands.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, yeah, we hit like 3 islands. When we got to Boracay, which was the last island we went to, I just fell in love. So that concrete house I was telling you about will be in Boracay.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was curious what beach you put it on. I was like thinking about it, I was like, I wonder where she'd end up.
Right. The waves aren't, too big.
Right.
And it's that beautiful blue water, so.
That's the best.
It's perfect.
Oh my
That
goodness.
is perfect. And I didn't see any roaches there. Because when you go to those tropical islands, you see roaches.
I mean, there's weird bugs everywhere.
Yeah. I saw a big spider, but no roaches.
I was in Chicago in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So many spider webs.
Really?
Like outside, everywhere we went, there were like gigantic spider webs in everything, in trees and in. I was like, why are there so many spiders?
That's weird.
Right?
Yeah. It's like Georgia with the moth things.
The tree.
Yeah,
well, they
they're
have
in
them
the trees and the moth.
too.
Oh, okay.
Or like the silk. Is it silkworm? Okay, I might not have ever
I
seen
just
what
know
you're
it
talking
looks
about.
crazy. It looks scary.
Right. So what's top place number 2 and 3?
I want to go to the Seychelles. I haven't been there.
Where are they?
That is in Africa as well.
Okay.
And it is by, what do you call it? I want to sip of my tongue. Ugh, goodness gracious. I went there, but I couldn't make it there. Oh, no. Oh, goodness. So many places in my head. I can't even think of it at the moment. But, Seychelles.
Okay.
Where else? I don't know. I'm kind of... There's so many places. I can't choose. Nicaragua, maybe?
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm only saying that for, investment purposes.
Okay.
But I haven't been there, so I don't know.
Okay. And so
Just throw that one in.
I like it. I'm gonna jump topics on you again. I'm sorry. So back to the whole cruise line thing.
Yes.
If I'm somebody who is interested in what you're talking about,
Mhm.
and I want to get in one of these experiences of being in your group, how do you think that's gonna unfold? Like, would I have to just make sure that I book that cruise? Like, will you be sharing that information?
Well, I will be absolutely sharing the information when it comes about. But if you wanted to have a real estate excursion before we get up and running, we can still take care of you.
Okay.
So, being that we are a tour company, we can set things up for you. So, let's say you and your husband or your partner go to Turks and Caicos, and you're getting off, and you tell me what day you're going to be there, and I find out what time the ship docks. I have someone meet you, take you on a tour, and bring you back.
Oh my
You
goodness.
stop for lunch, stop for shopping,
Full service.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
And just to, add in my little tidbit, that sounds like a much better adventure. Because sometimes when you book a cruise, a lot of times the excursions that you have, that they have you book, can be so much more costly if somebody's looking to be cost efficient, rather than if you look in the actual country itself and see what's available. In a sense, it kind of depends on where you are, but
It does.
but that's,
It does depend. Once we start up with the cruise lines, it's probably going to be right along those lines.
Right.
But if you were booking it directly through us, yeah, you would save some money.
yeah,
You would save some money.
that's such an awesome idea.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
If people were looking to connect with you further, where could they find you?
Okay. So let me remember everything. Okay, so you can go to my website. It's www.destinationown.com. And my email addresses are jm@destinationown.com and info@destinationown.com. And then I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And my name is Destination Own.
That's awesome. So I'm going to include all of those links in the show description so you guys can find them there. And if you are talking with somebody else who has like a similar interest as you and is kind of like looking to do this, what's the advice that you'd give them?
I always say, let's partner up. Let's partner up and conquer this together. Like I started this on my own, so I wouldn't say, hey, go do this, hey, go do that. I'd say, work with me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like a lot of times we get into like a competitive mind space of like, oh, I'm going to do this. But wealth is so abundant, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, and we're stronger together.
We are absolutely stronger together, definitely. And I could use some help. So that's always the reason. So.
Yes. And when it comes to traveling, what advice do you have for somebody who's like new to traveling or if they're looking to get books when it comes to traveling?
I would say, okay, for the people new to traveling, do not be afraid and do not listen to others' experiences. Well, don't listen to them, but their experience is not going to be your experience. They can go somewhere and hate it, and you may go and love it. You know, maybe they got their bag stolen, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen to you.
Right.
So, yeah.
What's your opinion on female solo travelers?
I would say this. No, I think it's great, and I think if I were born in a different generation, I'd probably be one of those females.
Okay.
That's one of the things that I actually regret is not traveling more sooner.
Okay.
And, you know, I was a single mother for a couple years. And when I had my children, I always wanted to get up and go and take them. But, you know, I had a lot of fear in me. So that's one of the reasons I say don't be afraid. Just go, do it.
How did you overcome the fear?
I don't know. I guess in some ways it might still be in me.
Okay.
Like, okay, I gotta be honest. I mentioned roaches before.
I don't like them either.
Right. I hate going places that I think roaches might be. If I'm going by myself, I'll be like, I'll try to get my husband to go with me.
Right.
Just in case I see a roach. But anything else, I can handle. I don't know how I always talk about roaches. But yeah, I the fear of traveling, I guess I don't have it. It's just, you know, the reward is so much greater than the fear.
Right.
So you just follow through.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you're an example of just taking that step.
Yeah.
Right? Even if the fear might kind of be lingering, it's just like,
Right.
but like, you want to see it just so much more.
Yeah, exactly. Roaches or not.
We're in New York City. There's roaches everywhere.
I know. I I don't really see a lot here.
Oh, good.
So,
Keep your eyes closed.
Yeah.
so
I'm
good.
not delusional. That's so funny because we were in, like I told you, we were in Panama, and the first week I was just like loving it. I was like, oh, there's no roaches here. Da, da, da. Just walking around the city at night and everything. And then one night my husband pointed one out, and then after that, like I would see them all the time, and I'm like, why would you do that?
Right. Just destroyed it.
Destroyed it.
Yeah.
But I'll go back.
That's awesome. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us today?
Just to have your listeners just explore. You know, a lot of people would say I'd never move out of the country. You know, you don't have to move and stay. You could always move back. You could invest. You know, get a vacation home, do an Airbnb. You know, the world is really wide open at this day and age, you know. So yeah, just get out there and explore it.
Yeah, I definitely might be coming to you in the future because I always think of myself as someone who will one day have a home in another country.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's like, why not?
Right, and what I'm pushing now, you know, Airbnb is so big.
So big.
So why not do it now? And it can help you set up your future.
Yeah.
You know, buy that place in Italy or rent that place in Italy, Airbnb it out. By the time you're ready to move, you have a place. or you can sell it and build a place.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on
Thank
a Blissfully
you.
Balanced Life podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yay!